owner of a lonely heart.
One of the reasons this record is so unique sounding and cutting edge for the time was its use of samples, these short musical moments that you can hear throughout the song. The song was built on this solid drum groove played by Alan White with no drum fills and no crash cymbals. And on a separate track, we have hi-hat scoops, tom fills, and crash cymbals, curiously similar to what the Bee Gees did with Stayin' Alive. And when you put them all together, it sounds like one drum performance, even though some of the parts were recorded separately. Now, this cowbell track comes with a disclaimer because you may not be able to unhear it once you've heard it, and it actually sounds like a click track, and they may have used it for that as well, but it's definitely in the mix, and it's more in the background like a textural sound as opposed to a typical heavy-handed, loud, in-your-face rock cowbell. Now, there's something special about this cowbell that I haven't heard in any other song before. The pitch of the cowbell changes with the chord changes of the music. Now, they didn't do this with multiple cowbells. They took one cowbell hit, put it into a sampler, and then they programmed it to play those different pitches. And I tested this theory out with the Contact sampler. I took the same sample, put it into Contact, and recreated the part, and it was exactly the same. There's also some conga drums, handclaps, and when you put all of those drum and percussion parts together, it sounds like this. The main riff of the verses is actually a variation of the vocal melody of the choruses, and here's Chris Squire on bass playing the riff with an octaver, which is playing an octave below the main bass note. Now, this riff is also being played on electric guitar, which is making the riff sound bigger. Now, there's a second electric guitar part that's really driving the verses, this arpeggiated part, but listen to what it does when it gets to the choruses. And also in the choruses, we have these happier sounding guitars, which gives a bit of a call and answer to those more dissonant ones. And here they are with the other tracks. Now, these are all insights into how well this song was actually arranged. There are lots of layers, lots of parts, and if you listen to where these parts happen in terms of pitch ranges, harmony, and rhythm, you do get a sense that there's an underlying arrangement that makes everything work together. And a perfect example is listening to the bridge section. We have these horn samples, rhythm guitar, a synthesizer line that sounds like strings, this keyboard line, handclaps playing quarter notes, and those handclaps are being emphasized with another rhythm guitar part, and piano with some extra accents. And underneath all of this, we have this driving bass guitar, and it's being doubled by electric guitar and piano, making the parts sound massive. And at the end of the bridge, we have these incredible stacked vocals. And here's what all of those parts sound like playing together. And again, listen to the arrangement. we've already heard some great guitar work from Trevor Rabin, but I want to point out that in the intro, there are these big distorted guitars that announce the beginning of the song and that are never heard from again. Since we're in guitar land, we have to talk about the guitar solo because it is iconic. And Trevor Rabin used effects and treatments to create such an unusual and unique guitar sound. And when you listen to the mix, especially on headphones, you'll notice that there's some wild panning going on and that the reverb level gets louder towards the end, but that was all mixing. Here's what the guitar solo sounded like as it was recorded. Now, speaking of effects, there's a vocal part that was treated with either a phaser or a flanger, giving it a distinctive sound in comparison to the other vocals.
Much better than
And when you hear it with the other vocals, you'll notice that it actually has a purpose, that effect is emphasizing those lyrics in a distinctive way.
owner of a lonely heart. Much better than owner of a broken heart.
Now, the vocal arrangements are just as intricate as the instruments, and this is a great section. Listen to this first vocal line.
Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart.
And here's a harmony.
Owner of a broken heart. Owner of a lonely.
Did you notice that they left out the word heart on that harmony? Well, it's making room for the variation of that word on the lead vocal.
Owner of a lonely heart.
And then the lead vocal, which is doubled, comes in for a harmony on top of that.
Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart.
Now listen to what that lead vocal does at the end when it rises to the last bridge section.
Owner of a lonely heart.
And with the other vocals.
Owner of a lonely heart.
And here are all the vocals so you can hear just how intricate this arrangement is.
Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Much better than owner of a broken heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Owner of a lonely heart. Much better than owner